fella. Get in the net. Yes, get in. Oh, get in. It's a long one. Oh, wicked. That is a well decent common. You'll see all the way through the DVD, all the guys on it are absolutely obsessed with fish care, keeping the fish absolutely pristine. This is rule number one. Undo the net while the fish is still in the water, and then slide the fish into the weigh sling, which we've already zeroed the scales on. Slide the fish into that and lift it out of the water in the weigh sling, and that stops any risk of ripping the mouth. Just unzip that. Or bending any fins back or anything else that you can do if you're bringing the fish out of the water in the net. Okay, so this is one of the large Euro weigh slings from Tracker, the retainer slings. That just floats on the surface. Just slide the fish into it, like so. The whole net goes inside as well. And then what I'll do, without putting too much tension on it, I'll just check the fins are flat against the fish's body, not bent back the other way. They're nice and flat, both sides, which they are. Cool, so now we can come out of the water. £40 of pristine Lahore common, taken on a very, very simplistic rig, very effective too, of course, and very, very easy to tie. So we're going to do some pictures of this fella and then show you how it's done. This is the rig that I'm using for the extreme range fishing we're doing here. Very similar to Damien's in that there's no gubbins going on there. It's stripped down as much as humanly possible, so there's less to go wrong. So starting at the hook end, the old faithful IB pop-up corn, that just gives the hook bait a little bit of buoyancy, a little bit of colour and some extra attraction from a smell point of view. That's a real winner, that one. Everywhere we've taken it, it's caught really well. That's on top of the old faithful Cell dumbbell, and I've soaked these in a little bit of the sunflower oil that comes out of a tin of tuna. That just soaks into it, darkens it down a little bit and makes it even more attractive. Then moving down, we've got just a standard hair rig, what I call the claw rig. So I've got a rig ring on the hook there so that the hair leaves the hook roughly opposite where the barb should be. It's a barbless roll on this water, so I've crushed mine down to nothing. If I take the little cap off the captor there, you can see just how sharp that hook is. That's a size 4 curve. So quite a big hook with quite a small bait, but I like that. It snags really quickly in the fish's mouth. That's finished off with a bit of the medium-sized clay shrink tube, angled in really aggressively, and that helps that barbless hook stay in place. And on all these lakes that have got barbless rules, a lot of people suffer hook pulls. Putting that little bit of extra shrink tube on there will stop that happening. And also, when you're playing the fish, you need to pull really hard. People don't play their fish hard enough and the fish shake their head and the hook comes out. So a super sharp hook like that, coupled with a bit of shrink tube, will stop the hook pulls almost completely. And the hook link itself, that's a new one as well. That's the N-Trap semi-stiff. I've stripped a little bit back by the hook so the hook can lift up and turn and catch hold, but the rest of it has got the coating on it, and that's going to help prevent the tangles. And then a couple of inches down from that, I've got a small size sinker with a bit of the dark matter putty moulded round it. That's just to help everything lay flat on the bottom. It's very soft out there, the lead is plugging in, so having that little bit of extra weight just makes sure the bit near the hook is sitting flat on the bottom. And whether I'm using a semi-stiff hook link like this or a really stiff one like the hybrid stiff, I still put that bit on there and it just keeps it all laying flat. And then at the other end, I've got a hinge created by a ring swivel. I've just used a 4-turn half blood knot in the 30-pound semi-stiff to that. I've got some of the dark matter tube in there, just enough to stop the rig tangling. It's probably about 18 inches there of tubing. Again, very, very important, I think, when you're fishing at long range. By having rig tubing on, you're making the line behind the lead heavier and stiffer, and that stops the hook link from wrapping around it. So if you want to fish at long distance, that's what I recommend.